Money. Money.
We're going to talk a little bit on tips on new construction. Why new construction? There's a lot of opportunity in new construction. Sometimes you don't see as much craziness in making offers on new construction as you do resale homes. So just having a little understanding of how new construction works and some tips, I wanted to share that with you today. First, most important tip is find a great agent. Having an experienced agent that knows new construction is great. Now, the site agent is employed by the builder or the listing company that's representing the builder. So that's important to understand. Not to say that necessarily you don't want to go that direction, but personally myself, I'd like an idea of having a realtor that's not a representative of the builder or the listing company that's representing, but somebody on the outside. And there are a lot of really good ones. You can call the show because I have a handful of industry leaders that you can choose from that know a lot about new construction and navigate through that process. Now, the benefit is they know first I want to give the benefit of the site agent. The site agent knows the structure and how to offer in that peel process. The downside is if any issues come up, again, they're representing the builder or the listing marketing company that's representing that builder. So it's a little more difficult because you can't represent both the buyer and the seller. Makes sense, right? So if you have an outside agent that's not represented by the builder, it's going to be a lot easier through that process. Now, be creative during the negotiations. Builders don't like to drop price. Really important to understand that. And the reason being is because once they drop a price on a home, it's going to affect the rest of the homes in that whole community. So that's not an area they like to do. Now, I'm not setting yourself in this market to be negotiating because we're not in a negotiating market, but it's important to understand if you're going through that process that you would never want to lower price with the builder. If anything, you're asking for upgrades or money towards closing costs. That's going to be a much better scenario for the builder, and they're more apt to do that because, again, it's not affecting the neighborhood. Consider an offer. Ask your agent to do research on the builder's negotiation style and prior sales in the community and other developments they've built to determine if there's a particular effective way to approach that offer. Now, the next tip that I like to share is get everything in writing. This isn't just new construction. This is all purchase and sale contracts. But don't sign anything until everything has been negotiated, agreed upon, and written into the actual contract. If you're considering purchasing a home that is not yet complete, it's very important to spell out how the home's going to be finished, what will happen if construction is not completed on time, and the deadlines for those decisions that will occur through the process to get and understand. Verbal conversations are not binding, so everything important must be put in writing and signed by all parties. Now, this part is important as far as whether construction's behind, and you know, trust me, the builder does not want construction to be behind because they're paying interest every day that it is. But the reality, a lot of things come up in the construction process, especially if you're buying a pre-sale, a home that's not already in the construction process. So if you've got a lock-in interest rate, there's going to be an expiration date. So you need to determine who's going to be paying for that extension to lock if for some reason something doesn't happen on time. Builders often use customized purchase agreement documents in place of standard forms commonly used in the area. So ask your agent to get a copy of the builder's documents to review in advance. Ask your agent to point out in the agreement what happens if there are delays on either side. Now, what you see isn't always what you get is my next tip. The fit and finish of the model home doesn't necessarily represent what comes standard. So often the model homes reflect a mix of standard materials and fixtures, as well as some helpful upgrades. When turning the model home, make sure that you find out which is which. The important thing is to know exactly what you're going to be getting, what's available, and of course, what it's going to cost you. Keep in mind that the cost can change, so the price quoted at the start may not be the same when you're deciding to move forward. So ask your agent to help you get a list of the standard features and, if available, a list of the common upgrades and their associated cost. Next, do your research on the builder. Visit other developments and talk to homeowners if possible. Search online for reviews, testimonials, and news. Keep in mind that many builders will have both happy and unhappy customers in the past, Everybody does. But look for trends in the reviews and make sure any concerns that are there, that they've been covered in the agreement documents. And ask your agent if they've worked with the builder in the past and if they're aware of their reputation. Now, get the home inspected. New homes have problems too, so hire an inspector to make sure that everything is safe and up to code. Even though the new homes have to pass permit inspections and an independent verification with a qualified inspector is money well spent. So, in many cases, the builder will allow buyers to conduct an independent inspection and agree to repair codes compliance issues, but do not include a provision that would allow the buyer to walk away and retain their deposit if they're not satisfied with the results on the inspection. So ask your agent to investigate and explain the inspection process and your rights in the agreement to request repairs or terminate the agreement. Now, the outside inspectors, independent inspectors, almost all of them, if not, you want to make sure you find one that does, has a re-inspect 12 months after the home. So once you've moved in, you can have that inspector. They're going to come back and re-look at the house again after a year. So it's kind of a nice little benefit that you have with new construction. Find out what's covered. Many new homes come with a warranty from the builder, but not all warranties are created equal. So know what it is and what it covers and for how long it's going to cover it. Many builders use third-party warranty companies. In some cases, the manufacturer of certain products like windows may have a separate warranty or guarantee, and the builder might refer all issues with those components to the manufacturer instead of handling any issues directly. So the builder should be able to provide details on which part of the home is covered by which policy. So ask your agent to obtain warranty information early in the process so that your offer can be prepared to address any concerns up front. Next tip, look to the future. Check with the city to see what the planned or the surrounding areas. If you have a view, will it still be there in 5 years? Most builders put the responsibility on the buyer to be aware of the neighborhood or the community dynamics related to other developments and in the area like traffic planning, developments of neighborhood parcels. So many new communities also have homeowners associations that can impact your potential new home as well. So ask your agent about writing a review period for you to investigate the area or plan to do some research before submitting your offer. Last tip, do your homework on lenders. So don't automatically use the builder's lender. Shop around for the loan that is best for you, not them. Some builders require that you get pre-approved with the builder's preferred lender. That's fine. It makes sense. They want to make sure that everything's going to be okay. But by the time you are ready to make an offer, you probably have already spoken to a lender of your own. Your lender, again, no worries about doing that, but just make sure that you've got the ability to choose which mortgage professional you want to work with. Now, tip, ask your agent to help you find if there are any special offers, promotions, contractual differences if you agree not to use the builder's lender. So in some situations, the builder is going to pay $5,000 towards your closing costs if you use the builder's lender. If your outside lender is not going to do that because if the builder's not offering that to your outside lender, they're not going to be able to afford to do $5,000. But what you want to do is just check and look at the apples to apples, because a lot of times that's somehow worked into the actual cost of doing the loan. So just make sure that you're covered there. Those are my tips for you on new construction. New construction is a great way to get into a home. Resale construction homes are a good way to get in as well. There's just a difference. So understanding what those are is going to help for you to be successful all the way through the process. Coming up next in the Money Hour, busy summer and staging. Dave Wilson with Staging and Design Network right here on 1150 AM KKNW after the short break.